All Hallows Eve, that time of year again when all creatures of the night are unleashed to the world. It's time to return to where it all started. Another year, but the scares continue. Another month, but the fear proceeds to rise. This is the Venom month of horrors 2, Trapped in Time.
We spoke a lot about Halloween, so I think it's time to take a look at the movie that supposedly killed the entire franchise. The series was, however, put on hold for a few years after the failure of Part 5. Producer Mustafa Ricard felt like the last film strayed too far from Part 4, and originally the script for Part 6 was actually written by a fan. Daniel Fairgrounds, who was also a screenwriter, wrote one up and sent it to the producer of Part 5, who loved it and set up a meeting between him and Ricard. I spent weeks preparing for the meeting and came in with a huge notebook filled with Halloween research. I had the entire series laid out in a timeline, a bio of every character, a family tree of the Myers and Strode clans, as well as all of the research I had compiled about the runic symbol Thorn that was briefly shown in Halloween 5. I then laid out how I thought all of this might be explored in Halloween 6. Legal issues with the franchise, however, caused delays until Miramax bought the rights to the series. By 1994, 5 years after Part 5, Ricard still wasn't happy with any of the scripts. Fairgrounds was brought back to write another screenplay who intended to bridge the 4th and 5th films back to 1 and 2, whilst taking the story into new territory so it could be expanded for future installments. He wanted to explore more of the Man in Black and the Thorn symbol, and he actually contacted the writers of Halloween 4 and 5 for more info, but they flat out couldn't give him any clear answers to what any of it meant, and he was left to literally make it up as he went along. It shows.
He says things, bad things.
It was Fairgrounds who came up with a cult idea and for an explanation to Michael's immortality based on one throwaway line in Part 2.
Samhain. It means the Lord of the Dead. The end of summer. The festival of Samhain.
And the original idea was to have Jamie Lloyd survive this entire movie and then get killed by Michael at the end. Danielle Harris wanted to come back so badly she even completed paperwork to become legally emancipated, as she was only 17 at the time, but she was offered only $1,000, which was even less than what it cost her to be emancipated. Furthermore, she wasn't happy with how her character was treated in the script and completely bailed out. Donald Pleasance only agreed to come back yet again because the original script was so good, and he was devastated to learn that it was completely rewritten. The director used almost nothing of Fairgrounds' final draft, especially with the ending. Most of the cast and crew disowned the movie afterwards, and allegedly on set they were also unhappy with it, causing many arguments. The title was actually named after how poorly put together the production process was, and the only one alive who seems to be a fan is Edgar Wright, but this time he is Edgar wrong! Many audiences booed at the screen as it was first released. Director Joe Chappelle himself admitted he didn't even like the series. He was only there to get a deal with Miramax. After test screenings and poor reception, they even had to rush back into production to try to save it and failed. Are you scared? Because I sure as hell am. But I'm not doing this alone. A film like this requires more than one person. So, because it is his franchise, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Myers. I'll do most of the talking. This is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Michael, please don't hurt me.
Why the hell would you refer to him as Uncle Michael? Especially when he's attacking you. 20 seconds in and it's already stupid. Well, I'll tell you why. It's so the audience know that this is Jamie Lloyd, played by a different actress, J.C. Brandy, who was apparently horribly mistreated on the set, bitter that Harris wouldn't come back. Classy.
I thrive on it.
So Jamie is in labour while some D&D rejects are holed up in... Smith's Grove Institution, I think? Also, she's been held captive there for the past 6 years. Even though the last movie ended with Jamie going into the, the police station and Michael and the Man in Black had already vanished. They'd already gone. So at what point did they manage to kidnap her? Did you even watch the last movie?
Oh God, it's coming!
No, that was Michael. Yes, I forgot to mention. The baby is Michael's. Halloween 6 has Michael Myers impregnate his niece. Well done, man. Well done. You get her, Tiger. Now, there's a lot of dispute over this. Because of the many script changes and horrific production, there's actually an alternative producer's cut where they upfront acknowledge that it's Michael's baby.
The baby is yours, isn't it? Isn't it, Michael?
Whereas in the theatrical cut, it's not outright said, but it's still heavily implied and hinted at.
You can't have the baby, Michael.
Why else would you say that? And she was locked up for 6 years. Whose baby is it then? The doctor's? Michael, why do you like banging your relatives? And some have said, well, Michael is nuts, so he has no boundaries, and therefore we shouldn't rule out incest. Alright then, in that case, let's have Michael Myers fuck a dog. I mean, let's not rule out bestiality. Why not? Just because Michael would do something doesn't mean you should put it in your movie.
There's no goddamn respect.
So we get an opening narration, not from Dr. Loomis, because he was majorly cut out of this film as the director found him boring, respectful, but by Tommy Doyle, this time played by Paul Rudd. And if you can't remember who the hell Tommy Doyle is, don't worry, he was that little kid in the first one that no one really remembers. In fact, they actually did want to try and get the same actor to come back, but at this point he had no agent and they had no way to contact him, and he later said that he regrets missing out on this opportunity. A script like this, I think you're better off, mate. You dodged a bullet.
One by one, he killed his entire family.
Well, he didn't. I mean, what happened to his parents? Didn't kill them. In fact, he didn't kill Laurie. Laurie's still alive. You've never acknowledged that she's actually dead.
6 years ago, Halloween night, Michael and Jamie vanished. Many people believe them dead, but I think that someone hid them away. Someone who keeps Michael, protects him, tries to control him. And if there's one thing I know, you can't control evil.
Which is exactly why the rest of this movie is so dumb before it even gets started.
Damn you!
So of course we get the cliche that this crap probably started with an insider helping our hero to escape. I don't even get it. How the hell did this nurse manage to even get the baby away from Michael and the others to help her? And why doesn't she go with Jamie? She can escape. She has the chance, but she doesn't. And there's no reason behind it. Oh, and Jamie is supposed to be 15 in this and has been held captive for 6 years, but apparently somehow knows how to drive. At least Carpenter had some kind of explanation about Michael knowing, but she's 15. Oh well, Michael shows up and offs her before we get the biggest abomination of the movie. Oh, this sounds awful! Way to ruin one of the greatest theme songs ever made! Michael, how did you agree to this? So Jamie steals a truck from Robert Roode here, whose neck gets twisted off, before we cut to the Strode family, who adopted Laurie from the Myers many years ago. And no one has mentioned them or checked in on them in the last 20 years because... But it doesn't matter. There's a little boy called Danny who gets weird flashes of Michael because this has never been done before. Okay, so what did Halloween 5 do that everyone hated? Had Jamie have a psychic connection with Michael. Let's do that again!
Like what?
This is Danny's mum, Cara. As she gets dressed, the radio gives us some forced exposition that Haddonfield has actually banned Halloween since 1989. It's about time! And one woman rings into the radio to profess her love for Michael Myers. You know, with people's sick obsessions with serial killers, I can actually believe this. But she starts to have a weird feeling, and that's because Mike from Friends is watching her from across the street.
I was only 8 years old when I saw him, but I was one of the lucky ones.
Well, sure, Paul, you starred in this shit and still got a career afterwards.
Come on, you don't really believe that Michael Myers is actually alive?
Michael's work isn't done in Haddonfield.
How the hell do you know this? So we cut to Dr. Loomis, again played by Pleasance, and you could tell that he was genuinely ill during filming. He looks pretty rough. But meanwhile, Jamie ends up at the world's most abandoned bus depot that is still unlocked, so therefore it's not closed, yet nobody is around. And she tries to call the cops, but of course the lines are all busy. So she instead rings the radio to let them know that Danielle Harris was doing better things with her time. While that's going on, Loomis is hanging around with that dude from Liar Liar, and they're apparently best buds. And I am not joking. I have watched these films dozens of times, and I've only just realised that this guy... his character actually was in a previous film. I kept thinking, why are they passing them off as so close? But no, here he is in part 1.
Sam Haddonfield is 150 miles away from here now. Now, for God's sakes, he can't drive a car.
He was doing very well last night.
Yeah, that's it. He's in that one scene and we're supposed to believe this really strong connection that they have best friends. I completely forgot he existed. Anyway, he tries to convince Loomis to return to Smith's Grove, but he's retired. But what are the odds? They just so happen to be listening to the same radio station to hear Jamie's cries of mercy. Wow, Michael, you must have super sperm. Your newborn baby looks about 4 months old. So she hides in the bathroom before Michael shows up. somehow, considering how much of a lead she had. Is he a sniffer dog now? Oh, and apparently this baby is some super secret agent too. It was crying during all of this suspense, and now all of a sudden it's silent. We later find out Jamie hid him in a cupboard in the bathroom, but he's on his best behavior here and being incredibly quiet right now. In the real world, Michael Myers walks in, hears the baby, stabs him, and the movie ends. But no, her uncle drives after her, causing her to crash into a nearby barn. My superhuman immortal killer uncle is after me, I better head inside. But hey, this is admittedly a really cool shot of the lightning revealing him before he vanishes. But then we get, to its credit, the nastiest death and the only one to ever make me cringe in the entire series. He shoves Jamie onto an electric drill, but she doesn't die. She reaches her arms out for help, he fakes her out before shoving her further down on it, and she still doesn't die, continuing to ask for help. She then refuses him the baby, and Michael then says screw it, turns the drill on, and pummels the life out of her. I would have genuinely cried my eyes out if that was Danielle Harris. I grew to love the character that much. And this is just savage, Michael, man. Chill.
Is something wrong?
Meanwhile, the Strodes have moved into the Myers house, but they keep getting vandalized, much to the dismay of the most over-the-top and cliched arsehole father in history. That's basically all there is to this family. The mum is boring and bland, Kara is boring and bland, Danny is boring and bland, their brother, whose name I can't even remember, is boring and bland. The dad is the only entertaining one because of how ridiculous he is. It's almost like a parody at this point. Oh, a tiny ass knife. What's he gonna do? Spread peanut butter on him? Oh, and it's widely believed that Danny is also his child. They mention Kara running away without explanation. There is no acknowledgement whatsoever of Danny's father. This douchebag is actually hesitant to call Danny a bastard at one point, but then he does it reluctantly, and he has some weird abusive aggression towards Kara. It's never upfront said, but apparently this is why she seems to be so protective of the baby, because he was also born through abusive, incestuous means, and she really related to him. Again, it's not really confirmed, but it is heavily implied when you look at all the signs. What is it with this movie and incest?
I rest my case.
So these lot are organising some fair thing, who cares? They want to bring life back to Haddonfield. They also wander past Tommy's place. Okay, what is this? Look, I know he's supposed to be traumatised, but many times later on he's fairly normal, so what's with this crap? And also, why is he traumatised? Let's look at his entire encounters with Michael Myers. He was babysat by Lauren. He saw him outside, but was told he imagined it. Sure, he saw him carrying a body from the distance and in the dark, but Michael shows up, he sees him briefly as he attacks Laurie, he's locked in a room, he is then told to go to the neighbours. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see why he's traumatised. Being scared as a child, I get that, but to be traumatised for life? For 16 years later? He barely looked at you, you pussy!
Yeah, right.
So Tommy starts listening to recordings of the radio and is obsessed with the Michael Myers case. So where the hell were you during the last 5 films? Where were you in Halloween 4 and 5? You're obsessed with the case and you didn't feel like you wanted to step in and maybe help? He also notices in the background there was an announcement of an arriving bus, despite that not happening when Jamie originally made the call, but shh! He heads to the depot and spots blood on the phone booth and sink, which nobody has noticed or cleaned since, before discovering the world's quietest newborn baby that nobody has noticed since. He kidnaps the kid while Loomis and Wynn head to the scene of Jamie's murder.
What's that? It's his mark. He's come home.
Oh yeah, that's his mark, even though he hasn't done it in the past 5 films, but I know his mark when I see one, and are we supposed to believe that he actually took the time to kill Jamie and then, what, get out a flamethrower and be like, oh, I should probably go find that baby, but first, is it fucking Michael Myers or Azrael from the Arkham games? Michael, your movie sucks!
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Danny draws up some disturbing pictures to add to the list of horror movie cliches before Tommy takes the baby to a hospital where he somehow recognizes Dr. Loomis 16 years later from behind at a great distance. And also, if Tommy's so obsessed and Dr. Loomis still lives in Haddonfield, how have they not crossed paths at any point in the past 16 years?
I'm sorry, I don't know you, do I?
I'm Ant-Man. You heard her last night, didn't you? Michael's come home, hasn't he?
She is the last of his bloodline.
No, Dr. Loomis. She's not the last. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's totally not implied that it's Michael's baby. I mean, I know they would still be in the family line if it's Jamie's, but quit kidding yourselves. It's Michael's baby. He banged his niece. You're sick.
I think it's cool.
So Michael begins to stalk Mrs. Strode. You know, why didn't he just kill these guys before? I mean, I guess he wanted Jamie first. She was locked up. Why not go after them then? Or at any point in the past 16 years. What, did he want Jamie to escape? None of his motive makes any sense.
Jesus.
But she kind of just walks around doing laundry and stuff. Look, even the washing machine pisses itself at how funny this movie is. But it's okay because Loomis breaks into an innocent person's home and sneaks up on her for some reason, probably giving her a heart attack.
What makes you think he'll come back here?
This house is sacred to him. He has all his memories here.
He was committed when he was 6. What memories does he have? Eating a lollipop whilst watching Courage the Cowardly Dog? But oh no, Danny spots a mysterious man in black. Oh, look, hey, Tommy shows up. I'm not sure which one's creepier at this point.
Sorry.
So Loomis has completely abandoned Mrs. Strode for some reason, knowing damn well she's in grave danger, but this shot of Michael in the background is genuinely terrifying. It turns out the dad bought the house, but never told them what happened there. And what are the odds of the Strodes moving into the Myers house anyway? And how the hell didn't they find out what happened there from somebody else? No time for that, Michael has vanished. Whoa! She then spots some of her things have been moved. Michael appears behind her again because he likes pranking her, I guess, before she gets a phone call from Batman.
Hello?
We want the child.
Danny or the baby. It never specifies. Oh well, Michael cuts her head off and ruins her perfectly good whites. Sakara returns home to find Tommy with her son. Okay, so now he's kidnapped 2 children. What the hell? How are we supposed to sympathize with this guy?
Danny, go downstairs.
But Tommy's my new friend. He knows all about dinosaurs.
My God, that look he gives her, that genuinely looks like a, ha-ha, I've manipulated him to like me and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, well, he takes them to his place to hide out and watch her house to look for Michael, who Danny sees, but he vanishes again. Oh, who cares? Tommy can't seem to calm the baby. Sakara decides to take over, but she never even questions where he came from for some reason. But this is where we get the biggest pile of dog shit in the ridiculous vomit stain that is the screenplay. You know, this movie is a complete train wreck. Like, it makes no sense, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, but it's kind of entertaining to watch still. It's entertainingly bad. But then there's scenes where it tries to be intelligent, it tries to take itself seriously, and it tries to be artsy. And that's when it gets hilarious. So it turns out that Thorn symbol thing is used for pagan rituals to spread sickness, death, and sometimes magic. It's the curse of Thorn. At least this one actually has a curse.
For years I've been convinced there must be some reason. Some method behind Michael's madness.
Or he's a serial killer who just snapped like serial killers do. No? Too interesting for you? Okay. Also, did he just prepare this slideshow presentation for anyone who just so happens to come over? Okay, sorry, back to the point. So basically, this cult spoke to Michael back in 1963, and I guess the reason he snapped and killed his sister, I don't know. They then controlled him and are using dark magics to keep bringing him back to life, making him immortal until he successfully wipes out his entire bloodline. Right.
I think that's why these people, whoever they are after Jamie's baby. It's making Michael's final sacrifice.
So they got Michael Myers to have a baby to kill the baby. What the hell? None of this horse shit adds up. Except to horse shit. Actual human beings wrote this puke. And Michael Myers having sex will never be a good idea. Danny sneaks out through the noisy door somehow without being heard, but no, he's just chilling with this crazy woman. So the old lady talks to Kara and Danny and claims that Michael heard a voice telling him to kill his sister, and we do get this cool shot of him being outside, but this whole cult thing is ridiculous! Loomis was there with Michael for 15 goddamn years at the age of just 6, and he couldn't reach him. He of all people couldn't reach him, and yet these moronic D&D cape-wearing virgins think they can even attempt to control Michael Myers? If Loomis couldn't, what do you think you could? And how have they even been able to for the past 6 years anyway? This makes about as much sense as lesbians using dildos! So douchebag returns home, but he should be safe because Michael is back at the other house right now as we just saw. Anyway, he finds some blood-soaked clothes until Michael somehow shows up and launches him into some electricity. How the hell did you eat? Oh, who cares? Oh, and just in case that wasn't gory enough for you, his head explodes. Well, you know, props to the effects team. It does look awesome.
Halloween has represented everything that's wrong with Haddonfield. But Michael Myers is long gone.
Well, no. He just broke out of jail and vanished. And am I the only one who thinks it would just be awesome if Michael showed up at this fair and just started hacking away at everyone? Missed opportunity. But the main guy there starts insulting Myers over the phone and even threatens him.
No, look, you tell that penny-pinching whiner Mike Sarducci that when I get back, I am personally going to cut off his balls and wear him his earrings.
But he should be fine because as we just saw, Michael is back at the house and they explain that that's half a mile away. Oh, never mind. How did he even hear that threat anyway when he was inside the car? How are you teleporting?
I'm sorry.
So these return home where boring brother Strode finds out about Myers and what happened there just to remind us to go and watch the first 5 films instead. Well, not 3.
Freaks me out.
Meanwhile, back at the fair, Tommy sees a child, so he obviously has to stare at her, but there's blood dripping down because apparently Michael goddamn Myers actually took the time to scale a tree and tie the corpse up there with lights and nobody noticed. Come on, are you an acrobatic ninja now? So he bangs her in his sister's bed, because that's a thing, but who the hell showers like this? I don't even think I could bend that way. But it doesn't matter because Michael is teleported yet again to give him a towel. Wait, what? Why are you doing this, Michael? I get building suspense, but why are you passing them towels just to kill him again in the next scene? It makes no sense. Danny continues to hear voices and having no personality while Kara rings the house to get boring brother Strode's girlfriend. She spots Michael through the telescope and begs for her to escape, and this is actually a really cool idea and kind of a nice throwback to the original, where Laurie hears her friend dying over the phone. Until the editing ruins it with random slow-mo and forced exposure filters. They're just not needed. But uh-oh, Danny apparently has rollerblades on because he vanishes and heads over to the house in 5 seconds flat, leading to Kara giving chase and discovering the corpses. No clue why Michael bothered to try to hide them in the bed when he knows that she saw everything and she was on the phone. Did he really think he could trick her after that? Oh my god, dude, you just killed him! What are you doing? Why are you trying to hide the body? You just did it right in front of me. I am standing right here! So Danny is in some kind of trance before the man himself shows up. Danny escapes while Michael vanishes, but Mummy Strode drops down, because apparently he took the time to prop her up as well, and then teleports to the other side of the damn corridor. But it doesn't matter, he trips like a bitch. And in one of the weirdest moments, which is saying a lot because this has incestuous rape, Kara has the opportunity to escape. Danny is outside, but she literally climbs over Michael to grab him and bring him back inside. Bitch, do you wanna die?
The baby. Where's the baby?
Oh yeah, I forgot there was a baby in this film. And Michael crossing the street looks hilarious. He just looks like an average Joe wearing a mask, not the greatest slasher villain in horror history.
Come to me.
Wait. So everyone can hear the voice now? What? And it's Win! The man in black is Win!
Careful with the girl.
Kinda means nothing considering you wouldn't even remember that he was in part 1. And we barely see him and barely know anything about him. We don't really sense the closeness between him and Loomis. This twist kinda sucks! And it turns out that the crazy old lady is also in on it too, for some reason, which is actually never explained. So Kara acts like all of the good ideas and goes right out the window.
I feel like I've been drugged.
We have been drugged.
Why are they doing this? Why didn't they just kill us?
Very good question.
It's his game. And I know where he wants to play it.
Oh, piss off! Throughout this entire series, Michael hasn't given a damn where he kills. And now all of a sudden he's particularly fussy where his murders take place? Please. Please. What? Okay. Oh, okay. No, please, please.
That's Loomis, you know that can't stop Michael.
Nothing will stop Michael.
Even after I die in real life, they'll still keep making them.
Why? No.
Do I need a reason?
So Wynn asks Loomis to join him, but he resists and gets knocked out. Meanwhile, Tommy searches Smith's grove for Kara until a random zombie lady attacks.
He's come back. And he's very angry.
He wasn't before? And who the hell was that? And then we get easily the best scene of the movie. A lot of people have slammed Paul Rudd's performance in this, and allegedly even he was unhappy with it. Throughout the film, people said he was emotionless and monotonous, but isn't that what he's supposed to be? I mean, I'm not sure why the character is traumatized, but he is. He's obviously going to be quiet and distant. But here, he finally comes face to face with the man who ruined his childhood after 16 years. Just the nervous smile and laughter, the twitches, the shaky way he drops half of the extinguisher, the wide eyes. This acting is fantastic. It's subtle and so good. So the chase is on. Michael gets a damn shotgun blast to the chest at close range, which barely even scratches him. They eventually locate the baby and start spying on them.
Don't move. Can't see us if we don't move.
He does, however, hear them and comes back, but Michael just looks awful in this film. I can't get over this. It just looks like a man in a costume. It doesn't look like Michael goddamn Myers. And then he slaughters everyone. Gee, I thought trying to control an uncontrollable psychotic serial killer who murders everyone in his path would be a good idea. Also, why did he wait this long to kill him anyway? Michael Myers wouldn't let anyone control him for any period of time. It's not like he needed him. He could have got the baby back on his own. And he's getting the baby back just to kill the baby. So why did he have the fucking baby in the first place? Michael Myers wouldn't have sex.
Oh, shit.
So during their escape, this random doctor who's also survived follows them, but they decide to lock him up because they're assholes. His death is kind of cool though, and the lighting in this chase scene is pretty sweet. Although, once again, this baby is being incredibly quiet as a very inconsistent child. So they hide out in a science lab, but Michael breaks in and we get another confrontation, and again, Rudd's nervous twitching acting continues to impress.
He's yours.
But oops, the baby cries to reveal he's elsewhere, but Tommy manages to syringe the bastard. Wait, so a shotgun to the chest doesn't faze him, but syringes do? Danny even manages to distract him, and admittedly his acting does improve here. But why would this work? Why would he stop strangling Kara to go and follow Danny? Why wouldn't he just kill her first and then go to Danny? All he needs to do is turn his wrist to snap her neck. And why doesn't he just crawl through? You can park a Vauxhall in that space. But oh well, another syringe goes in and they beat him to death with a pipe as he bleeds jelly for some reason. And then it just looks like someone in the editing room got extremely confused because it just randomly cuts.
Come with us.
Odd. And Loomis returns to the inside so he can get killed off screen once and for all. 1. Michael would never kill Dr. Loomis. This was already established in the first 5 films. 2. It's literally followed by In Memory of Donald Pleasance. It just seems in poor taste. His last movie and you decide to have him go off and get completely mutilated by Michael Myers? And that was Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Sorry bro, your film sucks. The gore and effects are great and so's the acting, but the story is all over the place and makes no sense. I'd be intrigued to see what the original script was because it had to have been better than this. The editing is awful, often cutting too quickly, randomly or seizure-inducing. The music, mainly the remixed Halloween theme, is atrocious. It's easy to see why this was the film that pretty much killed any momentum this franchise had going at the time. It was supposed to be a throwback to the originals and it goes against everything they stood for. It was supposed to answer all the things left over from part 5 and it did none of those and left even more unanswered for a sequel that never happened. This movie just fails in every way. It fails as a reboot, it fails as a sequel, it fails as a standalone film. It's fucking awful and I blame you! Movie sucks! What incest? Your reboot's gonna suck too!